What if the next medical breakthrough could change thousands of lives? Welcome to Moving Medicine Forward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on the breakthroughs shaping the future of healthcare. I'm your host, Jeremy Schran, and together with CTI's leading experts, we explore the cutting edge of clinical research transforming patient care. Each episode, we dive into the science, strategy, and innovation driving medical advancements, joined by global therapeutic experts who are redefining how we understand and treat critical disease. From rare genetic conditions to revolutionary treatment protocols, we're not just discussing research, we're sharing the human stories that move medicine forward. Today is another CTI Rewind. We're revisiting a conversation with two great leaders from CTI as they stepped into new roles, CEO Jon Koch and President and CFO Brian Lawrence. They share their vision for CTI's future, from disciplined growth and data-driven decision-making to investing in people and delivering for patients and sponsors. Let's dive right in. Welcome to the podcast, Jon and Brian. We're happy to have you here today to talk about your new roles.
Great to be here, Jeremy.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So, Jon, as you step into the CEO role, where do you see the biggest opportunity for CTI right now? And what are you most energized about as you look ahead?
Well, Jeremy, as I step into the CEO role, the biggest opportunity I see is for CTI to take exactly what we do today exceptionally well. The way we execute, the way we partner, the way we solve hard problems for our clients and bring that to a broader portfolio of customers. Today, there are sponsors, especially those pursuing advanced therapies who need a CRO that can run complex trials and do that with discipline and predictability. It's those customers that I'm very excited about introducing CTI to. The other thing that genuinely motivates me is our people. We have exceptional leaders around the globe and a rising talent base across the organization that I want to help create clarity and support and opportunities to allow each of them to realize their full potential in the organization. And I want that to be here at CTI. And beyond that, my focus is on a few strategic priorities, making sure that we invest where we can differentiate and do that for extended periods of time, and making it easier for our teams to deliver the great work that they do each and every day and to continue to do that for the years to come.
So, Brian, in your role as CFO and President, how does your financial background shape the way you think about CTI's long-term strategy and growth beyond the numbers?
Yeah, when I think about long-term growth for us, I really think about kind of the pillars, the areas that we want to have as a positive impact as an organization, to the point that we have them as the base of our strategic planning. So I think about our employees, our sponsors, the patients and the families, the communities that we operate in. These are all areas that we want to have a positive impact as an organization. And in order to properly reward employees, to be able to donate and contribute to communities and the charities, to reinvest in the company so that we can focus on our sponsors and moving their projects forward, we really need to be operating and growing in a fiscally responsible way. So it's very costly to operate the global business that we have with the reach and the service offerings that we do. We're in a complex, highly regulated industry. So making sure that we're being intentional about our growth while maintaining profitability is critically important. If I think about the 12 years that I've been at the company's always really taken a long-term view. I think both a combination of organic growth, expansion, along with some targeted acquisitions, I think have proven really to be a sustainable model for us. I think one that we can certainly continue on. I think when our lab, for instance, our lab started as an idea. We grew our North American lab from the ground up. And then we went out and we identified a partner, Dyneken in Bilbao, Spain, that we were able to acquire, bring to the organization. Got some great leadership that we've been able to bring in and retain. New services, both in the bioanalytical lab, but also in the model-informed development team. And then we built off that team into the central lab capabilities that we now have in the region. So I think that to me is a great example of how the company has intentionally tried to grow in both paths. I think that's one that will continue to go down, and I think one that my financial background will allow us to continue to focus on that strategy in a financially sustainable way.
So, Jon, as you help shape CTI's future, how will you describe CTI's legacy and the reputation in the industry?
There are many ways to describe legacy of an organization and the culture of a company. To me, a few things stand out about our legacy, and that's we have a legacy of care, credibility, and partnership. We've been in the business for a long period of time and long enough to see various cycles really change direction of the industry, new technologies are introduced, client expectations evolve over time. And through that, regardless of the change, we've maintained a reputation for being a CRO that delivers and does so with high integrity. When you talk to sponsors and sites alike, I hear that CTI is known for being pragmatic. We're responsive, we're team oriented, and really I mean that in the broadest sense of the word team. We're the kind of partner that rolls up our sleeves. We dive in, we solve problems, we help people succeed, not just those individuals in our own organization. I think we also have a reputation for our people, of course, the expertise, that expertise paired with high accountability and a genuine commitment to the work that we're doing and placing patients at the center of that work. My job now with that as a backdrop is to make sure that we're protecting what made that legacy strong while capitalizing on what I believe to be very significant opportunities for growth and expanding our capabilities in a way that's going to serve our clients for years and years to come and make sure that our clients, our team, and our other stakeholders are very successful.
So, Brian, when you think about building a strong and sustainable future for the company, what metrics matter the most to you?
Yeah, Jeremy, I think we're really focused on becoming a data-driven organization. So metrics and measures, something that we talk about quite regularly. But when I think about metrics, I think about trying to tie those as closely as possible to the overall planning and goal setting process, whether it's for the year or multi-set of years. But we've been very intentional trying to set a corporate goals and objectives, trying to use those to help frame our sort of functional department goals and objectives, which then really are intended to help allow the individual employee and their managers as they're setting goals to try to align. I think if we can get all aspects of the organization and the goal setting process aligned, I think that gets everybody moving in the same path. Again, I think that's something we've been intentional about trying to improve and something we'll continue to get better at. But if we get through the process where everyone's aligned on setting the goals, then we can focus on, well, how do we measure progress against those? And I think that's where the metrics and measures are coming into place for us. We certainly have high standards for our services, high standards for our quality. And so we've tried to establish metrics and measures in a number of buckets to help measure those. We obviously look at utilization as a company in terms of how our team's using their time. We look at cycle time in terms of how long it's taking us to perform activities. We look at workload to make sure that we're balancing those across team members. Productivity, so that the time that we're spending is being done as efficiently as possible to produce great results. And then quality, because in our industry, obviously the products that we're producing, the services that we're performing need to be at the highest quality at all times. So we've asked each team to look at and developing metrics and measures to measure those. And we certainly have tried to develop a culture that's focused a little bit more on accountability and having data to drive this decision. So not only are we looking at this at the operational level, but we're also looking at it at our supporting functions. We want to make sure that all team members, all departments are both held to the same standards, but also have the same data to drive decision making. I think if we have these metrics that were established, we're reporting on them regularly, then I think it's not even about the numbers or the results of those metrics. It's more about being able to use those to identify the drivers behind it. What's causing a certain metric to trend up or down? And most importantly, what can we do to improve or change those? So when I think about measures, it's in metrics, it's not necessarily the individual ones. It's more collectively, how are we using those and what actions can we take as a result?
You've worked closely together before stepping into these roles. How has your partnership evolved now that you're leading CTI together?
I think Brian and I have worked together long enough now that we're well on our way to developing shared thinking on a number of fronts and almost a shared language. And a lot of that stems from the fact that we're aligned on what good looks like. We're very aligned on how to surface and resolve issues, how and what path to take to pursue opportunities, and how we take decisions, right, to address the matter at hand kind of in an acute fashion, while always keeping the long term in mind. And I think what's evolving now with our new roles, expanded scope, et cetera, is not just the fact that we're collaborating on projects and initiatives, but we're doing that in a way that more broadly is shaping the company's direction together. And for me, that means personally being more transparent and sharing, making sure that my full thoughts and all the information that's necessary is known. working together on prioritization and making sure that Brian and I are working in lockstep to give the organization very clear direction and signals that are easy to understand. As I think about probably what won't change is I just really appreciate the way Brian brings a disciplined approach to thinking through opportunities, to sorting through and identifying organizational impact behind any decisions that we may take. And I think I can pair with that, my knowledge of our clients, knowledge of our certain operating teams and the people conducting our work. And that together is real powerful. And if I think about a partnership like the one that we have and will continue to have, it works because we're able to challenge one another constructively and stay anchored in the same outcome. And that outcome, for me at least, is building a stronger CTI that delivers for patients, our sponsors, and our teams, knowing that if we deliver for those three constituents, we're going to deliver for ownership as well.
Yeah, and I'm really excited that John's joined our team and now in the position of leading that he is. It's certainly been an honor for me to get to know him. I appreciate the trust and the opportunity that he and the board have placed in me. And I think one of the things I'm most excited about is a lot of the things that the organization's been focused on for years in terms of our transparency that John mentioned, our culture of increased accountability, our goals and objective settings. We've been focused on trying to get better on these things, and these are things that I know Jon is certainly focused on and will continue building on those. So I think we'll work together closely with the entire executive and senior leadership team. We want to make sure everybody in the organization understands how their role, how their department impacts the overall business. We want to make sure everyone knows how achievement of their goals supports and helps the company achieve our overall goals. I think that's the best path to collaborative success. So I think, we'll certainly be looking for opportunities to continue to give our team members chances to step up, advance their careers as an organization as we look to the company taking the next step as an organization.
As you look ahead, what shared priorities have emerged for CTI's next chapter?
I think as a growing organization, we want to make sure that we're continuously looking to identify our high performing, our next generation leadership. We want to make sure that we're establishing plans and pathways for them to achieve their goals with the company. I think if you look at what Tim and the board have done over recent years, I think they've been very intentional at trying to establish that pathway going forward. So I think it's critically important for us to continue focusing on the next level talent and making sure that everyone has the opportunity to achieve their goals with the company. I think you can't really have a podcast in 2026 without mentioning AI, right? So I'll go ahead and check that box for us. I think we want to make sure that we're utilizing AI, that we're utilizing technology to help drive efficiency in the work. I think working in our industry is incredibly hard. Then if you take the next step of looking at the areas that we focus in, the therapeutic areas that we work in, makes it even harder. Our team members are incredibly talented. We've got experienced, highly skilled individuals across the company. We just want to make sure that they have the technology, the tools, the processes so that they can perform at their highest levels. And I think making sure that we have an infrastructure as a company to support the rapid growth. I think we've gotten off to a great start in 2026. I think we expect to continue and accelerate that. And, we just want to make sure that we have data and systems and processes to help enable that. I think some recent examples, we've invested in our resource management teams, in our vendor management and sourcing teams. Those have been a combination of excellent team members that have come from different areas of the organization. We've also brought in outside team members. I think both of those are examples of making an impact, supporting our growth as a company, and want to continue looking for those types of opportunities.
When you think about the next few years at CTI, whether it's growth, innovation, or impact, what excites you the most about where the organization is headed?
The organization has just had so much success under Tim's leadership with the support of the board and an amazing leadership team. It's really tough to think about building upon that, but I can say what excites me most is even with everything the organization has accomplished for clients, for our team members, and for the industry, I think we're still just scratching the surface about what is possible. When I think about CTI's capabilities and what the industry is trying to accomplish, what our clients are trying to accomplish, you think about the voices of the industry would say that they're looking for partners who can execute with quality, with speed, with flexibility, especially those pursuing therapies for rare diseases or applying cell and gene therapies. CTI is amazingly well positioned to answer that call for sponsors of all sizes, regardless of the geography in which they're headquartered. We have the capabilities to meet their objectives and delight them through an amazing customer experience. And I do get excited about that. Equally, what gives me confidence in that is our primary differentiator will continue to be our people. And every organization in our space, almost everyone, would say that. But I truly believe that the depth of our experience and the way that practical know-how translates to serving sponsors, sites, and patients in a unique way, just no other organization can match. And I see tremendous opportunity to pair that expertise, all those great skills, with better data, more scalable processes, and the right automation in the right areas so that it's easier for our teams to do their best work. And I have a ton of passion around that. And it's that combination, right? Exceptional people enabled by smarter ways of working is what I'm most excited about as I think about CTI's next chapter.
Brian, what are you excited about?
Yeah, I think that was so well said, and I would certainly support and reiterate all the things that Jon said. I think what excites me, and this has always been just one of my favorite parts about being a part of CTI, is the impact that we're having on patients and their families and the communities. I think if I look at our CTI Cares brand as an organization, if I look at the work that the committee is doing, I think making sure that we're focused on our charitable giving, making sure that we're focused on our awareness and volunteering, the efforts that we do internally to try to keep our mission at the top of mind for employees. We have mission moments where we'll have either patients and their families or advocacy groups come in and really just remind us what it's like on the other end of the trial for the patients and the families that are having to go through this, and that the work that we're doing really makes a meaningful impact. I think just having the opportunity to continue to try to accelerate that is something that always excites me.
The clinical research industry is evolving quickly. What trends are you paying attention to, and how is CTI preparing to meet what's next?
We all know that trends emerge. Some of them persist, but many fade really quickly. But there are core themes that just continue on and have for years. There are three that come to mind quickly. Sponsors need predictability more than speed in many ways. They need confidence in timelines, data quality, and delivery. Again, equally paired with speed, but maybe more important than speed. So that's the first. Second, site capacity and the resulting performance driven by that capacity and the site experience more broadly are at the forefront, I think, of all of our thinking more than ever. In a post-COVID environment in which so many of our sites and the institutions that we work with are resource constrained or find other barriers to doing the work in the way they want to work, if we don't make studies and trial designs workable for site, everything in the system really just either slows down or really is far less effective and efficient than it really should be. Third, I guess the other piece that comes to mind, I actually think closely related to those first two, is there is tremendous promise in terms of technology, data-driven decisions, data-driven operations. However, I think the winners in that race or to equip oneself with a variety of tools will be the one that applies those tools, those technologies in a very practical way that tangibly improves execution and avoids complexity. You think about the comment I just mentioned about sites, just ask their site, their view on the many technologies that they're asked to use day in and day out. And I think you're going to get far more in terms of criticism than accolades. So that's something that we need to solve as an industry. So in terms of our response to those general themes, I would say that CTI is doubling down on ensuring that the fundamentals are executed well, and at the same time using best practices and approaches to modernize how we do those, to make sure that they're durable for years. And that to us is continuing to strengthen operational discipline and making sure it's sound as it has been in the past, investing in the processes and the systems that remove friction, not only from our internal ways of working, but also how we work with very important constituents like sites and supporting patients along the journey. And lastly, building a culture of continuous improvement, because if we're not improving, if we're not moving forward, then frankly, I think we're falling behind, and that is just not the CTI way. So in my view, the goal is really simple. Make it easier to run complex trials well and to do that consistently.
Any trends that you're looking at, Brian?
I think it's very well said. I think the comments around the predictability, we're certainly seeing a lot of demand in the industry, both as Jon mentioned on the sponsor and the site. I think giving trying to give visibility where we can, trying to be transparent in changes over the course of the study, I think are all critically important. And I think those, combined with the discussion on AI and technology, I think those are all just opportunities where, we can both make it easier for our internal employees to do their jobs, but also to give our sponsors and sites the information that they need to be successful.
As CTI moves through this leadership transition, how are you thinking about culture and what kind of leadership experience do you want teams across the organization to feel and experience?
I think it's critically important for us to maintain our focus on company culture. Certainly, it's something that does evolve over time as we grow, but it's really been a differentiator for the company over the course of its history and one of the drivers for our high employee retention rate. We certainly have a lot of demands and expectations that are always constantly changing in the industry, global economics, needs of the organization, needs of our sponsors. We want to make sure that we're focused on addressing those, but we also want to make sure that we're keeping our focus on being the employer where our people want to work in the industry. We want to make sure we're delivering high quality, high value service in the complex areas that we're operating in. But we want to be able to reward our high performing employees. We want to give them the opportunities to advance in their careers with us. It's very important that we make sure that we have a focus on development and career progression for them. And if I think about the time that I've been with CTI, I think one of the things that set us apart is our leadership team has always been highly accessible. I think I was impressed with this from day one when I joined the company 12 years ago. I think Tim set this expectation as a company. He's modeled this for us as leaders. And I think we need to make sure that we're living up to that going forward.
So, the final question, looking ahead, we've talked a lot about short term goals. What do you think it looks like in 10 years? And what do you hope CTI is known for? And how does your leadership shape that vision?
10 years, Jeremy, that's a long time to think about it. Sometimes the day or the week is challenging to predict enough. But I think ultimately CTI today is known and appreciated by our sponsors for our expertise. We're known for our passionate and loyal employee base. And we're known for our focus on positively impacting the communities that we operate in and the patients that benefit from the work we do. So honestly, I think whether it's today or a year from now, 5 years from now, I hope we're known for those same things. But I think 10 years from now, I just say, I hope we're known in a much bigger way. I think we have the opportunity to increase our market and industry awareness. So I expect we'll be a larger organization. I expect we'll have a greater global presence that will allow us to provide a place for many more employees to have a rewarding career. But ultimately, I hope 10 years from now, we're still the experts in our area of focus, making a positive impact in so many ways and still focused on moving medicine forward.
Yeah, I think Brian took a few of the comments that I just wholeheartedly believe in. As I think about 10 years, in so many ways, it's an extension of where we're at today and in the past 27 years for us. I'd like CTI to be known for making the complex feel manageable. And that really is our lineage, right? Looking towards the future, that is a predictable yet adaptive delivery. And I think that second point I've mentioned several times predictability. I think Brian has as well. For the things that should be predictable, we need to make sure they are. But also, we just saw the agency, the FDA's recent thoughts on real-time clinical trials, that's going to introduce a way of operating, or can introduce a way of operating that requires just flexibility and being very adaptive. So predictable and adaptive delivery. Second is many opportunities and issues are just created from communication. So exceptional communication. And then last, something that's really important to me, whether we're thinking internally or externally, a reputation for doing what we said we would do. From a leadership standpoint, I think my role, and I suspect Brian would say the same, is our responsibility is to set clear direction, to invest in the people and capabilities that are going to carry us to that direction, and making sure that we do everything in our power to protect the culture that makes CTI special, and do that while we grow, right? And I think some organizations have really struggled with that. So we're very committed to doing it. And if we do that well, the company's legacy of purpose, amazing people getting behind that purpose and performing at high levels will continue to thrive for years and years to come. And it's just continuing what CTI has done amazingly well for a number of years.
Well, thank you, Jon. Thank you, Brian, for joining me today. It was a great conversation.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you again to Jon Koch and Brian Lawrence for the great conversation. As CTI enters this next chapter, the focus is clear: deliver with quality and consistency, invest in people, and continue making complex trials more manageable for sponsors, sites, and patients. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave us a review. Visit ctifacts.com to learn about how we can help you with your clinical trials. Until next time, stay curious, stay compassionate, and keep moving medicine forward.